Very simple.
We
have it. Morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everyone around the world joining us for another episode of Decrypted. You know what time it is. We're going to be breaking down everything that's been going on this week in the world of tech, in the world of crypto, and in the world of innovation. Now, this week, we're going to be diving deep into, obviously, BTC. The Fear and Greed Index has been a crazy week. We're going to be taking a look at privacy, how that has been blowing up even further than it had before. Lots of people are getting interested and excited. We even had one of the main Web3 guys from Google on our hackathon, and he was talking about how big encryption and privacy on chain is going to be for the future. And then finally, AI agents, are they going to play your games for you? God, I hope not. Jack, let's kick it off with you this week, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah. Like pumped for this show. I think yesterday we missed it. So those of you looking for us on Wednesday, we weren't there, but we had, I think, 130 some thousand views on the hackathon kickoff. And so if you missed it, Scale, Google, Coinbase, Virtuals, Edge and Node, and Verizon, Pearpoint, all combining to do what I would say like a really kick-ass hackathon around agentic commerce. So it's the SF Agentic Commerce X402 hackathon. Agents. We've got hundreds of like top-tier devs building all sorts of stuff. So we'll see what they make. I'm excited. That's my big thing for the week. And then, yeah, excited to hit these topics.
100%. Stan, how you doing, man?
Yeah, actually, we yesterday actually got basically prepared for the hackathon, and we have the chain. This is the most advanced chain ever with all of the encryption byte protocol. So I told the guys about vodka and whiskey challenge. I told them if we have like 3 days, if the chain doesn't crash, I'm going to buy them a bottle of whiskey so they celebrate. And if it crashes,
Scotch, right?
I'll buy them a bottle of vodka so they can't cry. But in reality, I think if it crashes, it means the demand is very high. Maybe I just need to buy them another whiskey. But, I think we have lots of demand. The guys are saying like we have thousands and thousands of transactions already. This is the most advanced chain ever in terms of AI. It has all of the bells and whistles added at the last moment, like encryption, threshold encryption, encrypted transactions. There has never been a chain like that. So the hackathon, I think the applications can be really interesting. The applications that people are building, you cannot build anything like that on anything else. Like if you have an agent, you have to have encryption. So it's going to be really interesting, I think.
It was, we had Rick from Coinbase, one of the co-creators of X402, and he was talking about how, it's time to kill API calls and it's time to initiate the likes of X402 and on-chain. And, I think we've gone through this before, but, there's billions of API calls every single day on the internet, right? And you can't do that on a traditional blockchain because your gas prices are going to rise and everything is going to be through the roof and you're going to continuously be stuck. But Scale.
Let me like throw something crazy out here. Okay. Like crazy idea, crazy thought that I think is actually going to be true. UX will die. Interfaces are going to die as we know them. And all the software we use, all the things we do, like right now we're hitting buttons, we're doing stuff on our computer. So much of what we do is just going to be us talking to our agents who then do everything. Okay. So if you believe that, even like playing, we're going to talk about this later, even playing video games or, having your agent we're at the like infancy stage of this, agents doing things for us. 1, their capabilities are finally getting good. 2, we still don't really have a lot of trust. 3, it's not, the usability is not easy. Like, we should talk today too about like how in the hell do you even set up OpenClaw without, on a fresh machine without screwing, messing up your whole world. Like it's not easy yet. It's still frontier. But let's assume we do get to this point where, agents are doing most of the things for us. And I was having a conversation with ChatGPT, just being like, well, what do you think could happen? What about this? Because, and like, it's really interesting to hear AI think about its own future. And, I got to say, if that happens, how in the hell can you do anything without programmable money, without cryptocurrency? If your agent's doing everything for you, you're going to need privacy, high performance, fast payments on chain to enable your agent to actually do things, or the world will break if they're just using a credit card, frankly.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to, that transaction fee piece, right? If you're using a credit card on a minor transaction, it is not cost effective, right? That's why crypto is so important.
But Stan, let's go back to the original question there. What do you think about that? Will we have a complete shift? Because when technology changes, it's really hard to see it. Like, imagine a world where we just interact with software dramatically differently than today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree, Jack. In fact, guys, I'm actually working on some skunkworks research. I don't have a name for it, but I'm just experimenting with some radical things. And one of the radical things that I've been coding this morning, if you have like ChatGPT or like Claude, and you ask it to provide like an application, what ChatGPT or Claude does, it like writes code in Python or like in C++, but then actually you have a problem, lots of problems, because you don't understand this code. So I have this like really radical skunkworks project where there's no code at all. Essentially, there's never Python or there's never C++, as you said, Jack, right? Basically, all of this is replaced by human language. But you don't translate this human language ever to like Python. You kill Python. So I have this radical thing where there's no Python. So I think what Claude or ChatGPT have is like when people invented an automobile. Initially, they were just putting like an engine, like a steam engine, on a horse carriage. But it's kind of an intermediate thing. I think ultimately there will be no programming languages. They will all die. And there will be no software. It will also die. So now, like if you go to a website, what happens is that the website probably is written in Python. The website shows something to you. Mm-hmm. And then with Claude or ChatGPT, you can now write this Python code in using easily. But it's kind of just a halfway. It's just intermediate thing, because you don't need Python. If you think about this, why do you need Python, right? You go to the website, the agent knows that you're coming, and the agent will show you the UI. There's no need to translate algorithms or into programming languages. In fact, the programming language like Python or C++ was actually because computers could not understand humans. So the kind of intermediate thing that kind of is meet in the middle, right? You write Python code, you understand that computers also understand it, because computers were dumb. But now when computers are actually smart, they can execute your idea immediately without using Python, right? Mm-hmm. And that I think was so. My theory is that the radical theory I have is that all of the software will die. There will be no Python. All of the I'm sorry to say this, but all of Python developers will be fired at some point. They will go do something else. It's like lots of people in the past, they were like typing on typewriters. Mm-hmm. There's no these people anymore. They lost their job. It's very sad, but I think that's what's going on. So I totally agree with you.
And then there's new jobs, right?
Yeah,
there's new jobs. There's always new jobs created. Everyone was like, when the the horse, like there were 27 or 28 million horses in the United States in like right the year before the Ford automated factory started, and we started making cars at like 1,000x the rate they were before. I think there was like 27, 28 million something horses. The next year it went down to 3 million, and they just made meat out of all of them because they're just too expensive to like keep around. But guess what? Do you know how many jobs were lost? Like you had the people clean horses, people bring food to horses, people clean up horse, manure. Like there's like this whole this industry of jobs that disappeared. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, you're putting everyone out of a job. There was an uproar for a while, but then they're like, oh my gosh, factories. Then there was a gazillion jobs created. Super Intelligence is a book by Nick Bostrom. That's where, I got that narrative from, like that story. And that, and so his thought is like, that's going to happen again now. The fear people have, though, is there's going to be this little gap, where people are like, the factory jobs aren't there, but the horse jobs aren't there. And people are like, the horse guys are up in arms, they're picketing, so hopefully that period is short.
It's like pigeons back
Python
in...
developers are going to be...
yeah.
We're gonna have lots of interesting things on scale. I think it's fantastic time for us because I think we have the chain and we have the agents now, and suddenly with all of this open claw stuff, with everything, suddenly I think there's so much momentum. People have so much momentum. Market has zero momentum, but people have lots of momentum. People are very excited.
So like another crazy thought here. By the way, if you're just tuning in for the first time, you're probably thinking like, these guys haven't even gotten to the first topic yet.
Yeah.
But this is what we do. Okay. This is what we do. So here's another idea. Even just typing is someday going to go away. You're going to have a thing that sits on there, reads your brain waves. And it's like, you're like, oh, drive me to the grocery store. Next thing you know, you're in your car, it drive you there. Like, or I don't know, like,
Jack, you and me suffer from the same mental gymnastics of ADHD. Would you ever trust that on your brain? Because I wouldn't.
So that's the thing. I think it's way out there technology, but you got to think that like it's the future, that you'll have a thinking interface. So you don't, this whole thing, like we're typing, I'm like, like it's got to go away at some point, I think, or at least be minimized. What do you think, Stan? You're
I totally agree. I think
expert.
People just used to do things, but if you think about just like even like it's terrible. You're sitting somewhere, there's this weird thing, you're typing on it, you don't talk to people, you like look into some like a strange square or whatever monitor. I don't myself, I know some people like programming in Python and sitting 10 hours a day watching the monitor. I don't actually. I mean, I won't miss Python or C++. I know people will go crazy. Lots of people will go crazy when C++ dies, but I won't. I don't really care.
Yeah, I remember this meeting we had like 6 months ago. We were talking about like, hey, well, how do we build a script to do that? And the engineering team's like, oh, that's going to take us a couple weeks. And I like wrote a script in Python through Gemini or ChatGPT in like 5 minutes. I was like, oh, guys, here it is. Can somebody check the code? And they're like, oh shit.
But I know people that are like, for which like C++ and or Python, it's their religion.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of people like that. And, I mean, it won't be easy.
Yeah. It's gonna be, the new jobs are going to come. It'll be exciting to see what they are. Okay. All right, man. Get us back on track here, buddy.
Back on track. The track of, what's going on in the world of Bitcoin. All right. Before we kick things off, as always, nothing we say during this stream should be considered financial advisement or to act upon what we say, especially me. I don't know anything. But let's jump in with it. Fear Greed Index. We have officially hit the lowest it's ever been. Let me bring it up just so we can actually take a look at this because it is monumental. I personally have never seen it be so low before, as you can see across. Jack, what's going on?
Yeah, well, I mean, it hit the lowest a few days ago, right? It hit 5 on February 5th, 1 week ago.
Yeah.
So you could almost make an argument that we're just in this like amazing place now because it's only 8. Just kidding. No. It's really bad. This is again like, what is this? The Fear and Greed Index combines a bunch of factors. I'm just going to read it to you. So 1, price momentum, what's happening in price of the top 10 cryptocurrencies globally. Volatility, it grabs in the volatility, like BVIV, which, Cole at BVIV, awesome guy, doing really, really cool stuff there. Looks at Bitcoin, Ethereum volatility, looks at derivatives markets, put call ratios, looks at market composition, market relative value, BTC versus stablecoin supply, and then a bunch of proprietary data. So you got to like, it's actually a pretty comprehensive index. I think it like gives you a state of the health. Like if you go to the doctor and they, give you your blood pressure or something, or, your cholesterol level, there's like whatever the catch-all is for your body, this is for the market. But that being said, sometimes bad means good things are coming, and sometimes really good things mean you should be worried, right? So Stan, I want to hear Stan's thoughts. Stan was, I think, brought this up, and
yeah,
that's like a background, but Stan's got some, I think, some interesting perspectives here.
I think just if you think about this, people are just really, really scared. And so the question is what it corresponds to, like I remember like when I watched Aliens movie, the second movie, like when I was like many years ago, I was like, and I got so scared. I was watching the movie, I was paralyzed. Aliens 2. I don't know, it scared me a lot, all of these aliens. So this is the level of scare was never like that ever. This is like the level of scare where like, you have like a prey and like a predator, and the prey is so scared, it cannot move. Mm-hmm. So the predator basically comes and eats the prey. This is like the level of hormones. And so people are fucking scared. I mean, that's the only way to like say this. And I think the reason why now, why not like 5 years ago? Why is this the minimum? I think is because of the leverage. The difference is that this time people are trading like a 20x leverage, which kind of amplifies their emotion. So they are incredibly scared. It's probably for some of the tokens makes sense now for them to buy actually, but they will not do this because they're incredibly scared. This I mean, it's kind of hard to kind of time the market in terms of when is the minimum happening. But this is actually, it may make sense for someone to like start buying Bitcoin now. Maybe it may go even further down, but then it'll kind of jump back. So I think this is the level of scare where Warren Buffett starts buying stuff, right? Warren Buffett is like, he has this zillions of cash, and the only thing he's good at he just sits with this cash for decades, and he waits for this one single moment where people are fucking scared, and then he buys things and like good things at incredible discount.
And like yeah, and like look at big news. I think it was yesterday or the day before, but Goldman Sachs announced that they bought 2.3 or 2 some billion dollars worth of crypto. That was like BTC and some other assets. And for Goldman Sachs, which was a longtime hater, that was like a huge sign. Now, here's part of it for if you're Goldman Sachs, they are value investor, Warren Buffett mentality. They're not going to come by the top. Okay. If they're going to buy crypto, they're going to buy now. That's just how they operate. And they have a ton of cash. And so the question is, and I want to give a shout out to one of our early VCs, really great guy. He passed away, Matt D'Souza at Blockware. They ran one of the biggest Bitcoin mining marketplaces for products. But this guy had like brilliant guy. He had a great philosophy. He's like, listen, during this is like the 2019 cycle. He's like, you can't don't try to catch a falling knife. And like, I think it's a good thing. Like, so people, again, not financial advice, but you got to be careful. You might be trying to catch the falling knife. People are looking for that bounce off the bottom, and they're trying to catch the upswing, not catch the drop. And I don't know, like, I feel like I don't have I think just not doing anything is also a great thing to do sometimes. But, I think this market's a weird one, right? The upswing wasn't as high, if this is a 4-year cycle, than what we've ever had before in the prior cycles, percentage wise. But maybe the downswing will be less, and maybe the time to bottom will be less. Okay. And so usually the time from peak to bottom, the last 2 cycles has been 13 months and then 14 months, or 14 and 13. I forget which parameters, but, if the top of the cycle was last October, it means we're only halfway through till we actually really hit bottom. I've seen other like data saying that we're actually, if you look at total asset value, and you wipe out some component around the election, that we're actually already at 14 months. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Stan's got a good point. Like, here's the thing. Whether you time things perfectly doesn't matter. What really matters is which side of this aisle are you going to be on? Are you going to be the one that sells at the bottom or the top, are your emotions going to drive what you do? And it's again, this is not advice for anybody at all, especially but it's just a call out that markets are weird and they're emotional animals. And if you look at the psychology of a market, capitulation happens when fear is the highest, and we're at one of the highest points we've ever seen. Which, to Stan's point, if this is as low as it's ever been, we were talking the other day, Stan saying that's probably an indicator that smart people are going to start buying a lot because they know that.
Well, it's a great point, because I'm not sure if you saw yesterday, but BlackRock came out and announced that they were going to do a collaboration with Securitize and Uniswap to produce this new BlackRock token. And in doing so, they went in and bought up like 20% of the Uni token.
Wow.
And yeah, this came out yesterday, actually. I'll just bring it up. This was a massive, new entrance from BlackRock, for them to actually have their own tokenized token. And to your point, Jack, it proves that the smart people are making the plays now. So do you think they're like, oh, we're here, like this is our bottom, we're going to go in, we'll buy up 20 to 40% of the Uni token, and we're in a good position for when we bounce.
Yeah, and you think about it, like we've got Stripe launching a chain, we've got PayPal has their own stable coin, right? We've got Robinhood has their own chain. The testnet just went live recently, which they're trying to put even centralized stock assets on this chain for people to buy in crypto because it's just better rails. Goldman Sachs just bought. BlackRock's just doing this. Like we're at the governmental level apparently going to have a bill pushed through April that Trump's going to sign, like before the end of April is what I'm hearing. Like never before have we seen all these indicators that this industry is moving forward, yet never before have we been in such a point of fear. I think a big issue here is macro, and a lot of it is AI risk. People don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen with AI, and is it just going to be USDC and Bitcoin that survive, or are smart contracts going to play a role? Are stablecoins going to need to operate through really fast bespoke systems like Scale, for example, or other products? And my feeling is, to be relevant, there's got to be a culling, okay? But to be relevant, you better be going where product market fit is. That's supporting AI, and then having advanced features, whether it be privacy. That's not commonplace. If you have good privacy features, you're going to win a lot of business, and you need to keep improving. You need to have like ultimate performance. Like high costs and slow speeds are going to the wayside, and you've got to get distribution and sell. But it could be a point where we're at like this, great unfolding, and the market is recognizing that, and people are not betting on anything. They're just moving into USDC, and they'll see, what bounces. But Stan, what do you think?
I think, I think with open cloud, I think that the key moment, people, I think maybe 12 months from now, they'll say, oh, these guys were scared. They missed the key moment. I think open cloud is the key moment, because essentially what happened, there was the software from Claude, the AI company, right? And the software was not really going viral so much. Mm-hmm. But then the guys cloned it into OpenClaw, and it went viral. And it's hundreds of thousands of GitHub stars, millions of people installing this shit. It's crazy. It's a huge thing. But the point is that it shows people want open systems, people want open AI, and blockchain, the only thing OpenAI can live is blockchain. So we just discussed this morning with Jack, IoT devices, for instance. Pretty much all of the communication between things in this world and agents is going to happen through blockchain, and not necessarily financial transactions, but basically, how does your agent control your heating system in your house or things like that. And so I think OpenClaw is totally the moment where I personally believe 12 months from now, there will be huge use of blockchain plus AI through these open systems, in particular through OpenClaw. So the fear is there, but people are scared. At some point, it will actually a little bit not so much fear, and then they become logical and they start like analyzing and seeing things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that, and it's just, I think you got to like whatever decisions you're making, you got to just try to act out of a point of logic than emotions, and do whatever you think is best. You're your own portfolio manager. You got to do your own research, but like Warren Buffett has a brilliant, and Charlie Munger just removing emotion from the equation, being logical. Because hey, man, wow, we are. I just saw this email from the block, by the way. I just was researching the Fear and Greed Index, but I guess it hit at 5 again early this morning. So it bounced back up to 8. But hey, it's rough out there. But I got to tell you, Stan, we should talk about this. We've been here before. So when Stan and I were starting Scale, we started at the very end of 2017. We were raising like a financing round in 2019. This is before the network's live, before the token was live. Ethereum dropped below $90. It hit $89. And I got to tell you, Bitcoin now has dropped a lot, but it was under $100. And I got to tell you, people were just like quitting the industry, saying, "Oh, this stuff's a joke. No one needs this crap. Dentacoin, who needs why does your dentist need to take payment there wasn't this whole premise of stablecoin payments and buybacks, and so tokens were frankly just failing in any real world use case. Everyone thought the show was over. They're like, oh, Bitcoin will come around, but Ethereum's dead. All these other things are dead. And I got to tell you, that perspective was dead wrong. Like a year later, DeFi summer kicks in, and one of the craziest market upswings we've ever had in crypto. So, it's when there is fear. I don't know. I've just been here before where you see people rage quitting the industry every day. Like, I wasted 5 years of my life. Like, I think you're just thinking about it wrong. You got to think about it like crypto plus agents, plus AI, crypto plus consumer use cases, crypto plus institutional use cases, crypto, the back end of the entire financial system, crypto as store of value. Next cycle, it might be Bitcoin that captures store of value market share rather than gold or silver, right? So anyways, that's my hot take.
It said Kyle left. Is it set for you, Jack, that Kyle left?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I gotta say, Kyle, I think he's still posting about crypto all the time. Okay. So it's good to see.
Semi left.
And he's still working with
Solana, but then I didn't understand fully. It was like going to AI, but then he said he's still
doing a lot of AI stuff. Yeah, but hey, Kyle worked really hard. I think they started I think he put almost a decade in, and we got to give him props. He's one of our friends. Stan and I know him really well. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does next.
Kyle, come back to blockchain. I think like the funny thing is that like my theory is that when it starts going up, it's like kind of shooting on the way down. It's probably going to overshoot the way up. It's probably everyone's going to be crazy. Oh, crypto AI agents. You don't know.
It happened really fast too, right?
Absolutely, totally different. Again, surreal, but like an opposite way situation where people will go like crazily. Yes, let's do it.
Well, the agents too are going to be making decisions. They're going to be like, "Oh, now's the time, you dumb human. We're buying."
It goes this way and that way. It's.
Good times.
Agents like, how can I rent a human to do KYC AML for me so I can make a bunch of money? It's going to be our job.
I'm actually surprised that isn't a service.
A service. Mass. Instead of SaaS, mass. Meet as a service.
Bloody hell. Oh, it's we're in wild times right now.
Let's talk about privacy, because I really think privacy is going to play a big role. If you think about all these agents, and if they are going to interact on crypto rails, do they want to disclose all their balances and all their purchase history? And also, like, people can mine that intelligence. Like, you have an agent that's doing really well. Everyone's going to be like, oh, let me just copy that one. And guess what? Your asymmetric advantage is completely gone, right? And so, Stan, I thought it might be interesting. You're obviously a world expert on cryptographic privacy techniques. A lot of people don't know shit about it. Let's be honest. Like, so Scale's implementing Byte, which uses threshold encryption. We should talk about that. We should talk about FHE, maybe ZK. Can you give us a little rundown, like, of these different types of privacy and kind of what their strengths and weaknesses are?
Yeah, basically, the key is that you should be able to encrypt things on blockchain, and people don't really care so much. Like, most people don't care when they like send a transfer to someone, shows the amount. On Monero, it doesn't show through ZK, but Monero is incredibly hard to use, and you don't have smart contracts because the mathematics is so complex. So most people don't care when they send money that is shown on Bitcoin, but things where you care starts where your agent does some critical things. Let's say you have an agent, and the agent through blockchain controls, heating system in the house, or like a heating system in a huge factory. At some point, some things need to be encrypted and protected. And so I believe with agents, the privacy is actually more important than humans, because agents are going to do like some of the tasks that are really critical and really need to be private. So that's the reason. I think that's the key, because humans don't really care so much about privacy, most consumers. But enterprises do, because enterprises do critical things that consumers don't. And so I believe that's why I think for agents, privacy is going to be way bigger than for humans. So then you need to encrypt. The only way to do privacy, because blockchain is public, it runs, right? Like the nodes are public. You need to encrypt. And then the question becomes, how do you encrypt, literally? And you need to encrypt in a way that does not break whatever great things and UI you have on blockchain. So just encrypting is trivial, but you need to encrypt in such a way that it's not breaking whatever great things you have, like Uniswap, like agents, whatever. And that's actually where you have to really have some really cool technology. And there are basically two technologies. There is fully homomorphic encryption, and there is BLS that we do at scale.
Which is a threshold encryption.
The threshold encryption, right? And this BLS, we believe that's actually the sweet spot, because you don't touch smart contracts. The ease of use is the same. The privacy is really great commercial privacy, in a sense that, if you have like 16 nodes, 16 validators, 11 of them need to be compromised to actually break this encryption. It's like a multi-sig essentially, but in a way more advanced way. And we believe that the sweet spot, because it doesn't break anything, and also to be like totally transparent, if the government wants to take a look at this thing, ultimately the government can actually serve subpoenas to this 11 guys, which may be really hard but doable. And this actually, in my view, maybe I'm contrarian, good, because it means that the government won't put people in jail. I mean, people that create the thing, right? Because
so let's say North Korean hacker group tries to use a threshold encrypted package to just hide where the money goes and send it to, basically launder money. Well, in a pretty simple fashion, if those, validators are audited, they can submit logs to then show exactly what wallets it went to.
And decrypt, exactly.
Yeah,
so there is actually a way to decrypt, and people will go crazy. There are some true believers in absolute privacy, and I'm personally not. Because if you go for personal privacy, it's the right way to go to jail, because governments will never be able to accept it, and you may not like it or like it, but the governments care about like North Korea launching like a nuclear attack. And ultimately, if you are doing something that helps these bad guys, the governments won't ever allow this. So
why should we help these hackers? How pissed do you get about like the thousands of text messages and emails you receive and bullshit, people trying to steal your money. Like, why support them? You know?
Absolutely. So with scale, we have on our chain, it's actually running now, right? We actually have it. We have this, I believe, great thing because nothing is breaking. You can still do everything, Uniswap, anything and everything you could do in Ethereum. Now you can do in a encrypted way, and you can decrypt. If the government really wants, it will be hard to like serve subpoenas to 11, like whatever, up to 16 validators, but it's possible. And I think that's the kind of the correct middle ground. There is also fully homomorphic encryption, which is great, but it's really slow, and also it breaks everything. With FHE, every single application needs to be rewritten by a PhD in FHE. So if you want to run Uniswap on scale encrypted chain, you just clone the code and run and make small tweaks. If you want to run Uniswap in FHE, you need to have a guy to write a PhD thesis and spend like several years of his life to move Uniswap to FHE. So the technology is very heavy, and it also ends up to be incredibly slow. So even for transfers, it requires lots of computational time, but the more you do, the slower it is.
So Stan, let's unpack that a little bit, because Oleg said something in just an internal chat, who's one of our math cryptography experts who's working on privacy. He told me, he goes, well, why would someone want to use FHE? It's like 1,000 times more expensive to run than BLS. Is that true? Is that
it's incredibly expensive to run, but that's not the point. I mean, you could say, okay, I'll spend money to run it, and it's very slow. But let's say you accept the slowness and you accept even this. But then for every application needs to be rewritten. So essentially 99% of developers will not be able to use it. You need to have like an ecosystem of like 10 PhDs in the world that understand how this works, and it's just an incredibly complex technology. And the more you do with it, the more it's like very much like ZK.
I gotta say, like, I can't wait to just really unpack how the FHE works, because Zama is getting a lot of publicity. They're getting a lot of and they are saying that they can do this fast and cheap, but I'm like, okay, but they always said that about ZK, and then no one ever could do it.
I think it's way worse than ZK, because with ZK, people were able to do the ZK EVM. And then once you have ZK EVM, you can run Solidity on it. So with FHE, you cannot just run Solidity in FHE. If each smart contract needs to be rewritten using a different language, and only simple things are possible. So like, no, I've never seen a Uniswap in FHE, literally. Maybe it exists, but it's like a PhD Stanford thesis at Harvard, like how to do it. So it just becomes an ecosystem where developers won't be able to do it. They won't be hackathon. They won't be like an FHE hackathon just because no one knows how to do it, right? So there's not Solidity. It's like some really complex mathematics, very slow.
Which I gotta say, it's amazing. We already are having thousands, and just this hackathon is just kicking off. There's already been thousands of transactions running encrypted on the Scale on Base chain.
Right. So just like for lay people, like comparing to ZK, I can say FHE is way harder, way slower, even for people that understand ZK.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, isn't it cool that the Scale chain that's being utilized for the hackathon is actually a live chain? Because usually it's like so expensive to run stuff that you have to just run everything in this testnet environment. And like, it's like the cost effectiveness is really good that people can use, we can run in a live environment.
And if we had to use FHE at scale, we would have to, each scale node would have to become like a supercomputer, essentially. We'd have to spend lots of money.
Yep. Yeah. Anyways, so privacy is going to be huge. It's big for humans, but when our agents are operating on
it's bigger for agents. I agree.
The next era too is for agents. There's like a UX for agents. One is like, what security parameters, like to do OpenClaw. No one's installing OpenClaw just on their normal computer. Maybe they are, but not recommended, right? people are installing it on like a Mac Mini or an old machine or like a virtual node, virtual server somewhere. There's that piece. The other piece is just this privacy element. Like, so it's like, how do you run these things? How do you make sure they're secure and you know, they don't cause problems while they create value?
Absolutely. And I think people usually are slow to react. So OpenClaw will probably become like a $1 trillion company. That's something to understand, that it's a huge thing. And so let's think from the point of view of OpenClaw becoming a $1 trillion project, not company. But you know, I think it's key that they use blockchain and encrypted blockchain. So
yeah, awesome. So good stuff. So hey, we were going to talk about like this shift. We hit a little bit on this earlier of like humans going from like doers to observers and instructors. And we're seeing this happen now. And after OpenClaw launched, I was like, oh my God, like we need to build a game that lets people instruct their agent, and then you can watch the game, because people like watching stream, like Twitch, right? And they like watching streamers play games. Well, now you can, instruct your agent, build a strategy, then your agent plays other agents, and you can even go to sleep and all that you wake up and they like won or lost all these battles. Like, and so, but already someone created one on OpenClaw. It's called Space Claw or yeah, here we go.
Space Molt.
Space Molt. So this is already happening, right? And I also think like this is common knowledge that the next billion or $1 trillion ideas usually start as a toy or a game. And so we're seeing this in action here, but I think it's just the start. What do you guys think?
It's cool. It is very cool, right? And I think obviously from a UX perspective, it needs to get like substantially better. You're not going to see, your random Joes jumping in and playing, but it is an incredible initial idea. And I think that as these type of things continue to expand, we're going to see more ways to play and visualize live media, right, Jack? Because you said something that my brain just went kind of crazy on, which was if you were to have an AI agent, streamer who could be dictated to by their chat. So if their chat is like super, super toxic and, all of the things that the chat's talking about is the streamer then, who is the AI agent, is then reprogrammed that way. And you have a lot more kind of access to personal, individual entertainment, which I think could be very, very interesting. But yeah, you shared this with me like an hour or so ago, and it looks crazy. And it might not seem like a lot, but it actually is. There is 856 players in this very, very niche game, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I mean, it's it's a start of a new frontier. Stan, there's going to be so many other things too, right? That people have agents do, and like they watch them do it, and you can even think of your job. If a job is in a way a game you're trying to win.
Yeah, actually, I've been reading yesterday, guys. I've been reading this interesting thing about Hollywood, right? Because how do like you're like an actor, you're like DiCaprio, right? And the producer tells you that's gonna be your role. So there's this something which is in Hollywood, which is called the actor Bible, character Bible. Essentially, they give you like a couple of pages who this character is, and there are some really interesting things inside. For instance, there's a split about what the character really is like inside, what the character thinks, and what the character says, right? Because all of us are liars, right? We don't never tell what we really think. But so there's all of this like human stuff. So the point I'm making is that one of the reasons these things may be more interesting than humans, because social networks became dull because people are scared to say what they think. If you guys remember, like, even like Facebook or Twitter, like 10 years ago, there was lots of discussion, and there was kind of people saying less and less, and it kind of became the corporate thing because people are not actually saying on Twitter what they're thinking. A great thing about an agent especially if it's anonymous agent. It actually can say whatever. It's like almost like, during ancient times, you get this, people, the comedians, and they were really important comedians because the kings through comedians could actually hear something that no of his people would actually ever tell him. So this is interesting thing about this agent networks. They can just tell whatever the fuck they want. And it's I think it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it will be an interesting twist to see how this is gonna play.
Yeah. Really. I mean, it's interesting. Like a game in a way is a construct similar to your job. And there may be some transition period where people are just like, get up every day and talk to their agent about, how well they're doing it. Do this for marketing, do that, do this, hey, write this code, do this thing. Oh, good job. I'll check in with you after lunch and make sure you finish that on time. Like we're at a crazy time. It's wild. That's why, frankly, I think markets in general, like SaaS markets, are getting their ass kicked. All these things are just experiencing pain because, hey, let's be honest, like no one knows what's going to happen in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years.
2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. I mean, would we have even we could probably go back to the start of the year, or the end of the year when we were talking about our expectations for AI. I think it's already blown past them with the likes of Claude Bot and things like that, right?
So I'm gonna make a prediction. In the next 3 months, the absolute most successful Web3 blockchain game will be one that humans use to partner with an agent, and the agent plays and the human watches and the agent's playing other agents, and there's some monetary component that's integrated through blockchain rails. And I got to say, if you're a game developer and you're into AI and you want to build something like that, get in touch with us, okay? Because it's perfect for the scale on base chain. Hit us up on our DMs, reach out. We will help you. Okay. Well, I don't think it's going to be kind of successful. I think someone's going to create something that's like massively successful that gets, traditional gaming type growth, because normal people are going to want to use it. Normal people are like, oh, great. Well, I'm going to play the game and look at all the money I made or lost or challenges I won or leaderboard activity I had because my agent did really good. And like you become a coach or like a strategist instead of just an active player.
Yeah.
By the way, I gotta say, I still play Clash of Clans because it's like so good to learn about like game loops and like virality and like UX. They're so good at that. And for my job, I feel like I need to like make sure I'm keeping in touch with latest things. And sometimes I let my kids play. I'm like, hey, like I'm tired of playing. Hey, go play and just do this. And then basically having them like do these battles for me because I don't even want to play it. And it's in a way, it's a similar construct of me having an agent do it.
It's the tedious things that you want done, right? Like I'll give you an example. So I haven't always been a massive World of Warcraft player since the early days. It was the first game I ever played, and we actually just had a re-release of the first expansion, and I have to spend hours of my day going around and mining that I cannot be bothered with. And I would love, and it might be against terms of service, but I am going to look at Claude Bot to see if he can help me with that, because it is a time sink. And I think that's one of the things that's interesting for games is having someone be able to come in and help with those monotonous tasks, but also I think coaching and learning. And not just for games, but for sports and things like that, right? Where, let's say you're a young 13, 14-year-old getting into like football or tennis or something, and you can't afford to go and pay for a coach, right? And that's what I think is going to be great for these AI agents to come and do is be that extra hand, that extra mind that can be able to help you go to the next level.
Yeah, and one thing about technology innovation, I think that's still true. You like almost always new tech doesn't recreate human behavior. It takes human behavior and makes it way more efficient or better. And if you think about gaming, like, hey, me letting my kid play for a while, or guess how else that works? There's these people that are grinding, that are living in the Philippines. They're playing video games for a living, leveling things up and then selling them in the Roblox marketplace, selling in the other marketplaces. And someone who's like, oh, I'm busy with my job, I don't want to do all that monotonous work. I'm going to just, go from the grinder or the farmer, go buy that and then be able to do the fun stuff because I've been able to buy someone else's work. And that same model is really what's happening with agents. And also people like to observe games, like to observe things, not just do them. And we're seeing these constructs that live in other ways be translated into the world of agentic gameplay, it'll be agentic trading, you name it, agentic commerce.
Agentic commerce, yeah. But I saw a tweet actually earlier today talking about how someone's Claude bot had I think it was a 66.3% success rate on the 15-minute BTC chart. And it's like, at what point are you going to be able to almost bet against the norm, right? When you're going to have all of these agents that are realistically doing the same thing, we're going to enter into a new age of trading that just doesn't make sense. Do you guys think, when you're just trying to go against the norm?
I think Stan has some ideas he's working on that are still skunk works. I don't know if they're going to announce it yet.
I can tell you some really interesting stuff for my skunk works, which I was fascinated. There's a line of research I spent last week, digging into this really interesting AI research about digital persona. How do you clone a person, basically? And turns out there are papers, very successful now. You take a book like Game of Thrones, and essentially you push this book into ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, but LLM, and essentially the LLM creates a digital persona for every character in the book, Game of Thrones. And these digital personas are really, really lifelike. So imagine a game where you see all of the characters from Game of Thrones, you talk to them, you participate in the book, and it's all lifelike, and all of these people are indistinguishable from people. Imagine a game where you can basically be part of the entire Game of Thrones, whatever, and then it's lifelike, and these people, you cannot distinguish them from real humans. Imagine how much people will pay for this game. So I think it may be, I got this idea that maybe literature, it's going to be a new wave of literature, because when George Martin wrote Game of Thrones, essentially he created agents, right? Each character is an agent. It's just there was no technology to move these agents into real life. So the agents live in the book. But now George Martin can take these agents and make them live in a virtual world.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea I had. The thought that literature actually is about creating agents. It's just the agents live on pages of sci-fi or
and
whatever.
Sometimes they get stuck, and then you don't ever see the 6th and 7th book of the series come out.
Yeah, and then imagine how exciting is that? Let them leave, and then there's no George Martin anymore. But then leave, they create their own history, and then a new part of it. It's crazy. And it's all possible. There are papers doing this, taking these science fiction books and fantasy books and moving agents from essentially the book to real, whatever, virtual world.
I feel like if I were doing that, I would target the books that, what is it? If something's over 100 years old, it's public domain.
I think it's 125.
So 125, whatever it is. What's the best book that's like this? Is it a Jules Verne book or something? I don't know. Go take that. That's public IP.
Yeah,
and make it happen. Right?
I think Lord of the Rings is going to go public soon. Public domain.
Take those books into a game, basically, and then sell the game.
And
then you don't do anything; agents do it for you. So, you push the button, there's a game, and suddenly you can live in this Jules Verne's, universe, and you're on this submarine, whatever. Just crazy.
There's a rolling 95-year copyright. Okay. In the United States. So anything before 1929 are public domain. There we go. Who's going to do it? Who's doing it first?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. What should we talk about next week? Obviously, there'll be some immediate topics that come up last minute, but any good ideas?
For me, hackathon definitely is the most important thing. So.
Yeah, we could go over some of the coolest things we see. I actually was sitting, so hackers are hacking at House of Web 3. I was sitting next to a guy named Kareem who's building this really cool game that it's like you don't play, you talk to your agent, the agent plays the game, it all runs on scale on base, uses privacy, uses byte. He was sitting next to a few of us on the scale team because hackers can go use that space during the hackathon, even if they're not members. And yeah, I'm excited to see what he builds. And that was just one person I talked to. I bet there's hundreds and hundreds of other really great ideas. So
let me ask you guys a question then. Now, the answer could be no, and that's fine because I'm aware you guys are very busy. What if we each build something ourselves?
I would like to do that. I just feel like I wouldn't. We'd have to make sure we aren't eligible to win because
no, we're not. We're not.
We have some bias that we wouldn't want people to be. It's not a good take. Like, oh, let's do a hackathon. We gave ourselves as long as we weren't.
I don't even have to input it.
If you work for Scale, Coinbase, or Google, you can also compete, but only amongst each other. And don't take the prizes from the other.
Don't take it.
By the way, someone did that recently. Who was that? I think it was like Coinbase or something. There's all this drama because they have some awards they were giving out, and they found out that they were ended up going to friends of people that work there for something. People are like, "What the hell?" It all kind of got exposed that they're running these campaigns, and then just kind of there's some it wasn't the company. It was just some bad people that were doing it. Not a good take. Not a good
look. Not a good one at all. Yeah, so I think and then also, I know we spoke about the Epstein stuff last week, but I'm not sure if you guys have I saw the what are they called? The big lawyer person, Department of Justice, DOJ,
the Attorney General.
Attorney General, sorry, yeah. That was an interesting conversation. I'm not sure if you guys saw the clips that came out of it, but she was screaming the committee. It was crazy.
I haven't seen it yet, but I saw all these people trying to mock her using anime AI stuff. It's a funny world, right? Where people are like, oh, let me use humor and parody to argue you politically, and it goes viral. What are you guys doing this weekend? Any plans you want to share? Anything exciting?
I'm gonna haircut because it's too long. Legit,
did that one guy get in your head finally?
Yeah, finally. Dan, what about you?
Stan, are you gonna build anything cool? You gonna watch?
I'm actually, I'm still working on this Skunkworks thing. But I think this week, what I got, actually, I realized it needs to become more radical, in the sense that I think it's possible to create agents that probably basically they're like people in a sense that you can ask them to do things and you don't need to know anything about programming languages. I think the mistake, not the mistake, but kind of half measure that Claude and ChatGPT and all of these guys are doing, they're saying, okay, ChatGPT will write the app for you in Python. It's actually not needed, the Python not needed. So I got to this point, so I'm actually having some prototyping where there's no Python. It's just you tell ChatGPT what to do and it does things. You tell LLM. But I think I'm really excited about, in general, chat agents on blockchain. So whatever I think that the new big thing is agents on blockchain, and then becomes very powerful technology.
Yeah. Awesome. You know what? I think I'm going to try to build. I just have this. I have this old laptop. I completely cleaned it, and I'm going to try to use it to then run OpenClaw. And I want to try to build it. I'm going to try to build a game, and like try to do some like Web3 hook. That'll be my fun activity. And then I also have a bunch of other stuff to do. Like gotta go to an event, work event on Saturday, but gotta do some family stuff. Maybe drink some good wine, hang out, but I'm going to try to build something. Wow. I'm going to hack. I'm going to have my own hackathon.
Yeah. the jackathon. Wait, that sounded kind of dodgy, actually. Oh God.
Okay, next
Jesus. And fucking hell. We might be. There's a potential of us. We'll definitely at least look at some of the hackathon entries, and maybe if all said and done, we might be able to even talk about some of the winners and things like that. But we'll definitely at least look at them next week. But guys, it's been fun. It's been fun. Yeah. It's been a lot. Yeah, it's been a nice casual one this week. I enjoyed this one. Yeah,
it was good. It was good. It's not our regular program time, but if you listen, appreciate you tuning in. We'll do it again next week.
100%. Stan, anything else from you, my friend?
Yeah, a great conversation, and see you guys next week.
100%. Remember, keep on building, keep in there, and we will see you again next week.
Great.
Bye.
Bye.